once again for the renegade master. Back 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 once again for the renegade master.
Hello my renegades, and we are back for Love Island season 10, and we are now on episode 35. And episode 35, I hear you say, was all about movie night, but not in the way of the movie night that we see it. Okay, I will say one thing about this movie night is it brought out the toxic traits of some people. I'm telling you, like, really brought them forward. So the essence of movie night is the boys and the girls get text questions. They have to answer to the closest. Whoever's the closest wins. Then they get to pick titles of the movies that's already been set out, basically. So first one that was picked was like to do with Mitch, and it was all about Mitch, the way in which Mitch worked his way through the group when he was trying to get to know Molly. So all of those conversations came out as well. So basically it's what we already knew about Mitch. Mitch is a sneak. He's a sneaky snake at the end of the day, and that's what he was doing when he was in his Molly stage, basically. He's, as we said, he's stopped doing that now. He's gone mightily quiet and he's enjoying life with Abby at the end of the day. So basically the issues that I saw with this came from, in part, with Montel and Leah. Then we had Sammy and Jess. A little bit between Ty and Ella, but not too much in that sense. But yes, it was kind of all to play for. And also saw the shitty behaviour of Scott. I don't care what anyone says, yeah. At the end of the day, I hear people calling that, you know, Kath should have apologised to Scott, but she hurt him, but she didn't do that. My thing is what is an apology worth if a person who doesn't think that they've done anything wrong or needs to apologise is going to apologise for? What is it worth if they apologise because they don't believe in that apology? Yes, she may understand that she may have hurt him, but she doesn't think it's to the extent that he's displaying it as. But also, on the flip side, the bullshit that is Scott actually plays out in this episode too. So it goes back to when they were at Casa Amor and the girls were over in the villa. So then we get Scott coming up, basically saying that yes, that day he missed Kath, but when the girls come in he won't. So everyone was like, oh, okay, is that how you were playing it? But you made her feel as though, like, you know, you picking her was the one. Do you know what I mean? So then, before anyone says it was Kath or Leah that said it, it wasn't. It was actually Katie that popped off and said to Scott, at the end of the day, no, you didn't pick any of the girls because none of the other girls wanted you. Oh, that set a fucking ember up fucking Scott's ass, for real. So then he literally had to go at Leah by telling Leah that she ain't spoken how many days, and they all went back to him and says, nah mate, you're fucking rude. And he was being exceptionally rude. There was no need for it, and it was kind of like it got to the point where he was hoping to get one up over on Kath at the end of the day. So he's saying, because he was basically saying, but I dare waited, I was single for you, Kath, that you can't say that about yourself. When at the end of the day, no, it is true, you were there single, but it weren't out of flipping choice, to be fair. You just did not connect with any of the other girls in there, even though you found some of them attractive. And I think it was especially Gabby that Scott was going for, but that did not work out for him because Gabby was literally going for Sammy, which didn't work out for her in that sense. So he didn't really have a chance to get to know any of the girls that were in there because they chose not to at the end of the day. So he had no option but to stay single for Kath. It weren't out of any heartfelt cause. Yes, he was hurt, hoping she would come in by herself, because then that's his fall guy. Kath was his fall guy at the end of the day. He was betting on Kath coming in by herself because then he would not be on his own. So when that didn't happen, as I said, set an ember up his arse at the end of the day. So then it goes on to, I think they did one with Kath coming up and the discussions that Kath had with Elam in the villa in Casa Amor. and also the discussion that she had with Ella in Casa Amor. Now all the guys were going, when it was actually when she turned around and she was having a discussion with Ella, and it was said, Scott who, but it was Ella that said that. Kath did not say it, did not come out of Kath's mouth. She was literally talking about how things were going with Elam and how he made her feel, and how she wanted to get to know him. And she was there basically saying, well, you know, and Ella then turned around and says, well, you know, Scott who? And they all got set on the back burner by that one, and Scott gave the most dirtiest look over to Kath. But I honestly believe that when Scott watched that, it's more or less, I think jealousy started to burn in his gut, because at the end of the day, he could see the differences in Kath when Kath was with Ellen, and how it wasn't the same when Kath was with him. At the end of the day, he could see that Kath had a better connection with Ellen, and no one can dispute that Kath had a better connection with Ellen. At the end of the day, what people have to realise is this is the concept of the fucking villa and Casa Amor. That yes, you may have grown and get your connection there with someone, but at the end of the day, if someone comes along that you have a better and quicker connection with, and you can see the differences and how it's panning out for you, and where basically where your head is being turned to, then you know you're not with that person that you're with ain't the one that you're going to be with at the end of the day. It's hard for other people to accept that decision once it's made, but this is the name of the game in this show. Do you know what I mean? It's been around for a while, so this is the concept and the name of the game, and people should be aware of that once they sign up for this show, that there is a potential with the person that you firstly connect with, or you secondly connect with, that you might not be with them for the long haul of the show, that they might actually have a better connection with somebody else, or a better spark with somebody else than they could ever hope to with you, and it's within their rights to explore that at the end of the day. So the way how Scott was getting disrespectful was not called for. Yes, it was hurtful to hear, for someone to shout out, well, KD to shout out that, you know, as we heard it, none of the girls were interested in you. That's why you ended up single. Yeah, that's not a nice thing to say to anybody, because anybody would be set off on the back foot for that. But then also, Scott didn't have to clap back the way he clapped back at Leah, when Leah actually didn't say the motherfucking statement at the end of the day. Moves on to Ty and Ella. So there was quite a few things in terms of Ty and Ella. Now, I know before the movie night, Ty did ask Ella directly, did you two kiss? And she went, no, only within the challenge. So when the footage was shown in terms of her interactions with Uzi, and then it showed them in bed, and come on now, are we all deaf? Are we all deaf? We heard the kissing noises. And the fact that they pulled the covers over the tops of their heads. And now them two want people to believe that they didn't actually kiss each other, that it was a peck on the forehead or a peck on the cheek. Now, why would you put the cover over your head if that was the case? Honestly, somebody answer that question. Why would you put the covers over your head if the person was just giving you a peck on the cheek or a peck on the head? Because you would show that shit to show that, you know what, although I was getting to know this person, I didn't get physical with them in that sense. We all knew they were kissing under there. Ty went stupid either. They knew too. He knew too. But they were adamant, Ella and Uzi were adamant to say that they didn't kiss. I believe that they did, but you can let me know what you think on that. So now Ty got a little bit aggy in regards to that, and was making little disparaging remarks to people. First having a go at Jess, then flinging back a remark in regards to when they showed Leah, basically saying that her mind is completely on Montel. She's trying to get to know people, but she doesn't want to. All she wants to do is go back to Montel. Then you heard him say like a flyaway remark, oh, and that's how it should be done, Ella. And we had to tell him to wind his neck in at the end of the day, because it weren't about him, which is correct. It wasn't about him. At the end of the day, he went through that process with Ella already. He knows Ella brought this guy back. Now you've dealt with it. You've decided to forgive her. It's time to check on and move on, basically. That's what he needs to do, rather than giving little biting remarks, because if he can't settle his feelings in regards to the whole situation, then anything that comes up, this is what he's going to keep doing to Ella, is keep throwing it back in her face. And I'm telling you, that relationship will never work if that continues to happen. So then it kind of moves on to, as I said, Leah and Montel, and the fact that, you know, Leah, although Leah says that Montel was honest in terms of telling her certain things, he wasn't honest in everything. Now, my thing is if people do these things out in the open with whoever they're getting interested in and getting to know, at the end of the day, it's not beholden to them to tell you everything. They don't have to tell you everything if they don't want to. They can be honest with you and say, well, I kissed this person and da-da-da-da-da. But I think for Leah, it was more harder watching it than it was hearing what he had to say, because then you see how it kind of played out, and the things that Montel was saying that was a bit hard, that hurt Leah at the end of the day, and then made him feel like a dickhead, because then when it panned to Leah at Casa Amor, and Leah trying to talk to I think it was Lachlan at first, and then she was talking to Jess and basically expressing her feelings to Jess, he felt like shit, and the guys had to give him a hug. But then my thing is when you're trying to explain something, don't always give but I was, but it was. At the end of the day, you just turn around and say, I'm sorry for how that made you feel, end of, done it there, because then it looks like you're trying to justify the behaviours that you were doing in the first place at the end of the day, which makes it harder for the person that you're explaining it to accept and forgive and move on, because you continue to justify the behaviour that they found abhorrent in the first place, or they didn't like in the first place, or caused them hurt in the first place. So that moves, that kind of moves on from there, and then it shows Ty being the fucking instigator. Because remember when Montel told Leah that, you know, he listened to friends in terms of when he went and did what he did with Tink. So it kind of showed Ty being the little instigator. Now, I've already said that Ty is a master manipulator. He knows what to do and how to get people to do what he wants them to do. And this goes to further show that he knows how to get people to listen to what he says and goes and does it, because he was living vicariously through Sammy and Montal on that night, because he completely shut himself off. He was not going to talk to nobody else, but nothing stopped him from saying, oh, let me see if I can coerce the boys to do X, Y, and Z. Yeah, so that's what he did. But at the end of the day, all he could do was try. But then it was up to Montel and Sammy to say, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Like at first, Montel was like, yeah, I'm not doing that at all. But then he was managed to cajole him enough to say, all right, then I'll go and do it. So that showed a different facet to Ty in terms of him being a right little instigator. So then it moved to, I want to say, to the Sammy and Jess stuff. And basically it showed Sammy having first doing the kiss with Amber and with Gabby, and they were all like, what, in the same place? That's absolutely disgusting. And even Jess said it was disgusting. I've said it was disgusting in how he went about trying to pinpoint who he then wanted to pick by kissing both girls, because he treated them like they were absolute toys, and it's not on to do that to people, in my books anyway, but you can let me know what you think. So then it moves from there, and then it shows Sam talking to Mal when Mal was in there, and how he had more of a connection with Mal than what he had with Jess, even though he knew Jess a lot longer, like 2 weeks worth, a lot longer. And that really hurt Jess. And then basically Jess made her feelings known. And this is what I say, when sometimes the guys always, they would apologise and stuff, but then explain it away. Like he was saying, oh, but it's chatter. But it's not chatter if you literally gonna know, if the other person finds out, you're gonna hurt them. It's not just bare chatter at the end of the day, because I'm sorry, I wouldn't like to fucking hear that if the person that I'm with from the get-go turns around and says, even though I have a connection with that person and we're still trying to muddle through and work our way through how we're going to hopefully have a relationship at the end of it, then tell someone that they've met for 3 days that you have a better connection with them than you did with the person that you've known and you're trying to build something with, I'd have said, fuck that shit then. Forget about me. You stay going and building that relationship with that person you've known for 3 days, because that made Jess realise that this man is forever going to constantly put her on a bloody back burner when he thinks something better has come along. Now, Sammy literally could not see where he'd gone wrong in what he'd done, because after like everything had gone past and like the movie night had finished, he when she went to go and talk to him, he was still trying to tell her not to have a go, don't blow it all out of proportion. And I'm thinking, at the end of the day, how the fuck do you think Jess is going to take it? How do you think Jess is going to take it from hearing that? Because at the end of the day, you always do this to her. You say one thing to one person and one thing to Jess, and then Jess is literally always the second best person or the last person to know. That movie night, that clip literally opened her eyes to the person that Sammy is at the end of the day. So Jess got upset. And Jess just freaking told him, like, go on. If you want to do what you need to do with Amber, do that. But I ain't going to be sitting here waiting for you when you're finished. Because at the end of the day, she wanted someone who was all in on her, because she was all in on Sammy. So Sammy, I'm afraid, did her wrong. You can let me know what you think on that one. But I think Sammy completely did Jess wrong. Like, literally fucked her over. And as Jess says, completely made her look like a mug and mugged her off with the behaviours that he took. And I'm sorry, I will not agree in any way, shape or form with Sammy's behaviours at all. Because he is literally a footboy. He is a footboy, but he does it low level. He's got a good chatter game on him. That's what Sammy has. He has a good chatter game on him, and then he tries to talk his way out of situations when thinking Jess is stupid. Jess ain't stupid. She's clocked you. At the end of the day, if you don't know her worth, Jess knows her worth, and she's not accepting the shit that Sam is giving her right now. So I'm kind of hoping that Jess is able to kind of talk to any of the other single blokes in there, to be fair, not Ty, but any of the other ones if she can, and literally couple off with them rather than with Sammy, because that is not going to be a happy recoupling if that happens in that sense, because Sammy's not willing to accept no responsibility or accountability for how he behaved, in how he spoke to Mal and how he spoke about Jess at the end of the day. So then we move to the guys sitting around like chatting and having their discussions, and basically Ty now saying that, you know what, yes, it was uncomfortable viewing at the end of the day, but I can't get mad at her, because at the end of the day he decided to forgive her and he decided to give her another chance and move on. So I thought that was the best bit of like thinking that Ty did at the end of the day, because it would be a waste of time him going off at Ella in terms of something so minute and so small in the grand scheme of things at the end of the day. But you can let me know what you think. There was the bit where Leah did pick up Scott and basically go and have a conversation with him. And again, when someone pulls Scott up, the first thing that he does is literally, he doesn't listen. He tries to talk over them all the time and say, well, you did this and how do you think that feels, and and doesn't listen to the point of view of the other person. Well, in actuality, if he's so sore about the comment that was made, it was actually Katie that brought that up, that shouted that out across to you. It wasn't Leah. And the fact that you turned around and tried to say shit to her in the way you said it was absolutely disgusting. Do I believe that he meant that apology? No, I don't, because this man apologizes all the time and then goes right back to the same old behavior, like nobody can talk to him or he's beyond anything else that anybody has to say about him, basically. So Leah said that she doesn't really want to talk to Scott again after that at all. I don't know how easy that's going to be, because at the end of the day you're in a confined space together, so you're going to have to talk to him and brook upon him at some point at the end of the day. I know Leah and Montel had their talks, and as she said, it was kind of different between the two of them at the moment, and now she knows kind of why it was different between the two of them. And as she said, that it is down to her in that sense as well, because of the fact that what she's been told by Montel to what she actually sees is completely different, and the reactions are different in that sense. But as again, my renegades, there isn't anything more that I can tell you about movie night. That is exactly kind of in summary what happened. And as I said, let's talk about it. Share your comments, share your thoughts, and always please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button so you know when I am back on. And I hope to speak to you all soon. Peace out.